Saying you have a favorite gospel is kind of like saying you have a favorite child. You probably shouldn't do it. But having said that, I will say that the Gospel of Luke is probably my favorite gospel. Part of it has to do with Luke's unique perspective on Jesus. We have some of Jesus' best known parables, including the parable of the Good Samaritan and the parable of the loving father with the two sons, that are only found in his gospel. And we have a section from chapter 9, verse 51 through towards the end of Jesus' journey to Jerusalem that contains some of Jesus' best known teaching. I'm a fan of the Gospel of Luke. And our verse for today is a verse that's been very significant for me for many decades now. It's Luke chapter 2, verse 52. And it's a summary verse at the end of the first two chapters about the birth and the early weeks of Jesus, years, if you will. It comes at the end of the only story we have of Jesus between his birth narrative and his adult ministry. And that verse is, "And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in divine and human favor." First of all, a lot of people, maybe because we emphasize the divinity of Jesus, don't think about the humanity of Jesus quite as much. But Luke 2:52 tells us that even Jesus grew in four different areas of his life, areas that you and I should pay attention to. And the first is that Jesus increased or grew in wisdom. And we heard when we went through the book of Proverbs many months ago now about the great importance in life of seeking wisdom, seeking understanding, of trying to grow not only in our knowledge, but in how we apply knowledge to life. And so Jesus increased in wisdom, and so should you, and so should I. And that includes reading and learning and studying, being challenged mentally and intellectually. Jesus increased or grew in stature. Now, this is talking about Jesus' physical self from when he was 12 years old to becoming an adult. But it also speaks to how in a healthy Christian life we have to pay attention to our physical self as well. And we need to make sure we're getting enough sleep, we're eating proper foods in the right amounts, and we're getting exercise and moving our body the way it was designed to do. And Jesus also increased in divine and human favor. And that speaks to his spiritual life with God the Father, which, again, we want to be growing in our relationship with God and pay attention to our spiritual life and have healthy habits and practices. And we want to pay attention to our relationships with people as well, and to be investing in those most important relationships we have with our family, with our good friends, with our brothers and sisters in Christ. So, wisdom, stature, our physical self, our relationship with God, and our relationship with others. How are you doing in those four areas of your life? Which would you say is the strongest? Which would you say needs the most help or attention right now? Let Jesus be your guide in these things and keep growing in them all.